At some point in your life, you probably ignored a red flag and told yourself it was nothing serious. Maybe it started small, a strange comment said half as a joke, an attitude that made you uncomfortable but didn't seem important enough to bring up. That subtle feeling in your stomach you couldn't quite explain, and instead of paying attention to it, you did what most people do. You minimized it, justified it, convinced yourself you were overreacting. What's interesting is that most people don't ignore red flags because they don't see them. They ignore them because seeing them would require making a difficult decision, and the human brain is incredibly efficient at protecting us from immediate discomfort, even when that protection comes with a high long-term cost. Think about this. Imagine the person you're involved with constantly cancels plans at the last minute. At first, it's just annoying. Then it becomes disappointing. But instead of confronting it, you start filling in the gaps for them. You say they're busy, stressed, overwhelmed, that they didn't mean to. Slowly, without realizing it, you become the only one putting in emotional effort, while the other person does less and less. The red flag didn't disappear, you just learned how to look away. And this doesn't only happen in romantic relationships. It happens in friendships, at work, even within families. That coworker who makes passive-aggressive comments disguised as jokes. Wow, you actually did well. I didn't expect that. You laugh, but something feels off. Instead of acknowledging the red flag, you rationalize it. You tell yourself that's just how they are, that they didn't mean anything by it. But deep down, every time it happens, something inside you pulls back a little more. Psychologically, this is called cognitive dissonance. The brain hates holding two conflicting ideas at the same time. On one hand, you want to believe that person is good for you, that the situation makes sense, that you made the right choice. On the other hand, reality keeps showing you otherwise, and instead of changing the belief, the brain changes the interpretation of reality. That's how red flags turn into misunderstandings, a rough phase, or that's just how they are. Another classic example is constant passive-aggressive behavior. The person never says what they really feel, but always leaves hints, cold responses, strategic silence. When you ask what's wrong, they say everything is fine. And to avoid conflict, you accept that answer. You ignore the red flag. But over time, you start walking on eggshells, choosing words carefully, anticipating reactions. Your body notices the danger long before your mind is ready to admit it. Ignoring red flags is also deeply connected to the fear of loss. Sometimes it's not that you don't see the problem, it's that acknowledging it would mean accepting the end of something you invested time, emotion, and hope into. So the brain negotiates with reality. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe I'm asking too much. Maybe it's just a phase. And while you wait, the emotional cost keeps growing. The most dangerous thing about red flags isn't what they say about the other person. It's what they reveal about the limits you're willing to cross within yourself. Every time you ignore one, you teach your brain that your discomfort doesn't matter that much, and that creates a pattern of self-silencing. The reflection here is simple but uncomfortable. If you were completely honest with yourself right now, which red flags have you been calling an overreaction? What behaviors have you been normalizing just to avoid making a hard decision? Maybe this video isn't about blaming anyone. Maybe it's about learning to trust that quiet feeling that shows up long before pain becomes obvious. Because in the end, red flags rarely scream, they whisper, and the people who learn to listen early suffer a lot later. If this resonated with you, take a moment and ask yourself, what in your life right now is asking for your attention and you're pretending not to see? If you enjoyed this reflection, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need to hear this, even if they're not ready to admit it yet.